Good morning to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott.
And I'm Devon Romain.
And we're here with you until the 12 o'clock hour. Hard Talk is now live on 97.5 CitysoundFM.
89.5 CRFM.
92.9 Sister Isle FM out there in Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
And 94.9 WeiVybz Radio in Brooklyn.
Yes, indeed. And we're also live on Facebook, Hard Talk Grenada Live, YouTube, Hard Talk Grenada, and on our website, www.hardtalkgrenada.com. Yeah? When we start with some different music this morning, eh? There's a St. Mark woman, you know. Yeah, she's from St. Mark. A lot of people in Trinidad don't even know that, and they actually think she's a Trinidadian. She's actually from Duquesne.
Duquesne, St. Mark.
Yeah, this lady, Ella Andel, she's from Duquesne. Yeah, she is a Grenadian. Well respected in Trinidad, though, in the music fraternity, I could tell you that. Yeah, she's well respected down there.
Has a beautiful voice.
Yes, indeed. Powerful voice. Well, she's right there in Duquesne, right? Down by, you know, the shop and things there, the other side of the road, you go down a bit, yeah.
Centuries of torture, centuries of pain.
Boy, we ain't say nothing yet, and no, let me see.
Chains, break free, I say the time is now. Let your love be a people's vow of Africa, of Africa, of Africa, of Africa. Ooh, wow, wow. Ooh, wow, wow. Ooh, wow, wow. Ooh, wow,
Yes, indeed. You can just play a second one by her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Sometimes you just have to raise up the spirit and thing, you know.
Yes, Pele, good morning.
Pele like that, yeah.
Represent.
let me raise the spirit a bit.
Love, I say, bring down the power. The power of love, I say, is the greatest power. Stop hell and damnation. Bring down the power. Love to heal a nation is the greatest power. Destruction is blowing over this land. And now the earth is trembling with man's oppression of man. Now the time come to sit down and rediscover what's life. Show the world the true meaning of real love, power, not strife.
Just to send this message to those of you out there in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Again, let me repeat, this message is specifically for those of you in Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Cleanse the wicked.
Mainland Grenada, this message is not for you.
All of them.
The residents of Carriacou and Petit Martinique are notified by Flo, and I got this message directly from Sister Ryle,
Unity is the banner.
that Flo will be cutting off all services for half an hour. So if you're in Carriacou, you have a Flo mobile phone, or you have an internet connection, or your landline, and you realize that nothing is working, Flo is doing some maintenance. They're trying to upgrade the services in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and as such, they need to cut off services for half an hour. Yeah? What half an hour? That information I haven't gotten yet, but they got a notification at Sister Isles and they passed it on to us. Good morning to you guys there at Sister Isles. Lisa Marie, morning. If you all can find out exactly what time Flo intend to do that. But for those of you in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, please note that Flo will be cutting off all their services for half an hour as they upgrade. Yeah? Usually when you're upgrading from one system to the other, you have to do something like that. Or if there's an emergency, you have to do something like that, you know?
All freedom lovers, hold tight.
Good morning to you, the Honorable Delma Thomas. Hope you're having a wonderful morning this morning.
Yes, with one
Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis, good morning.
Honorable Yolan B. in Horsford.
Yes, indeed. And the Honorable Emlyn Pear, even though she's not on island right now.
I say is the great.
Good morning to you, ladies. Hope you all are having a fabulous day today.
And then we have three other wonderful female parliamentarians in the lioness herself in St. Mark's, the Honorable Clarice Modeste, and in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Right?
Yes, Honorable Kindra Mathurin Stewart.
Stewart.
And folks, today is actually the launch of the Carriacou Maroon Festival. So for those of you that, it's the launch of the Carriacou Maroon Festival is taking place today. So we hope that you all who are in Carriacou, that you avail yourselves of the opportunity to be there for the official launch of the Carriacou Maroon Festival. And for those of you that want to head on up, get yourself organized so that you can head on up for the Carriacou Maroon Festival. All right. And you also have, coming up on the 4th of May, you have the Spice Mass launch taking place over there at the National Stadium. Yeah, so that one is going to be a nice one as well, man. Yeah, things looking up, man.
Yep.
Things looking up, looking up.
And also good morning to Honorable Pamela Moses, St. Patrick's East.
Yeah, man.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, the ladies all over, man.
Yeah. And Sheldon, before I go, I would like to extend my condolences to two families in St. Andrews who had lost last night. The family of Tuffy.
Oh yeah, boy.
Known in Grenville.
Yeah, boy. Tuffy's Honey Palace.
Yeah, passed away.
Yeah.
You know, and also to the wife of Pastor Niles. Yeah, out there, the church right in front of the entrance of the bus terminus, that big church there. The pastor, his wife, she passed away also.
Oh dear.
Right, so you had two prominent family, lost in sin. And Grenville, to be precise, in the heart of Grenville. So our condolences to all of them.
Let me also offer our condolences to the family of our good friend Mr. Crow out there in Willis. His wife died sometime last week. Know that the funeral will be coming up somewhere around the 29th of April in Willis. So we'll give you some more information in relation to that. Everybody knows Mr. Crow, but most people don't know that they know Mr. Crow. You don't hear him much on radio these days, but he's a gentleman always called about the Hunters Association.
Yeah.
He has a very peculiar voice, so you can't miss him. And he would always call and announce when the Hunters Association have a meeting. Yeah. His wife died last week. And so our condolences to Mr. Crow and his family. And all the children had to be in and thing. Everybody had to be there. So somewhere on the 29th or so. All right. So Hunters Association, all they had to back up the man and thing too, All right. Nice. Beautiful. Saying a good morning to all of you on the live. Yes. James, good morning.
Hannah, Hannah, Lorraine, Sonia.
Yeah, man.
Everybody in. Carol, good morning to you. And good morning to the staff of Paddy's. Out there in Carriacou. And good morning to all of you.
Let's say good morning to Ariza Credit Union. Yes. I know what I say now. Ariza Credit Union. Good morning, bro.
Ariza Credit. Yeah, I'm a member, so.
Dexter. Morning. Hey, Dali, good morning to you. And we hope that you're having a wonderful day, you and the staff there, that you're having a wonderful morning this morning.
Dali, I'm coming and take my measurement this weekend, eh?
Yeah, I might come and take measurement, man. We'll make it in a way that he could flow. But Devon, this has been an interesting week. Several issues came up this week. Again, we were able to deal with the issue of the National Insurance Scheme. Anyone who listened to the National Report, and what we're going to do is that immediately at the end of today's program, we're going to play the National Report for you again, because I think it went in depth into the present state of the NIS. I think a lot of people are still misinformed or uninformed or ill-informed. Yeah, there's different things in relation to the National Insurance Scheme and what is taking place, because there's still this rumor out there, a lot of people running around with the rumor there that, oh, the NIS about to bust. The NIS, that's not the situation. Yeah, you've had a situation where the NIS has found itself paying out more than it is taking in. Now remember, you're just paying a percentage out of your salary into the NIS, but when the time comes for you to collect your pensions, you're going to be receiving sometimes as much as 10, 20 times the amount that you're putting in. Mickey might be putting in $20 and collecting a couple $100. So the money itself, over a period of time, if you do not replenish. And one thing to note as well, because, you know, a lot of people are speaking about this one, that government make NIS give them a haircut and all of that. NIS never gave the haircut to government. Huh? Let's just clarify that. The NIS, what they did is they restructured the debt that government has to them. In other words, they didn't say, okay, you have $2 million for us, and we're going to forget the $2 million, or you have $2 million for us, and we're going to forget $1 million and pay us $1 million over a period of time. What they did is they restructured, so they're going to get back every single cent that government has for them. It's just going to be over a longer period of time. So what they did is they restructured the debt that government has for the National Insurance Scheme. So it is not a situation that the NIS gave a haircut to the government of Grenada, and government of Grenada was owing the NIS and now all that money gone. No, it's not a situation like that. What has happened is that the NIS has restructured the debt. So NIS will get back its money, government will have more breathing room. So let's say for instance, and I'm just using figures, these are not the actual figures, please note that. Let's say government had to pay NIS $500,000 a year, and we're not talking about workers' contributions here, we're talking about on bonds and different things that government may have for the NIS. Let's just say the NIS was supposed to receive $500,000 a year. Over 5 years, the NIS has said, okay, pay us, let's say if it's $200,000 over 10 years, or over 7.5 or 8.5 or whatever, so that NIS will receive its full amount of money over the period of time. Yeah, NIS will receive its full amount of money over a longer period of time instead of the shorter period of time. So you spread it. You reduce the monthly, yearly payments, and you just spread it over a longer period of time. The organization still gets back all their money, but it's just over a longer period of time. Simple.
Someone is asking a question, if NIS had lost any money in Carriacou.
I need to check the report to make sure. A lot of investors
lost
within the region lost money in that Carriacou Baico, including me. Including me. Lost money in that Carriacou Baico issue. If NIS lost, I'm not sure. I know some of the unions lost money, man. Yeah, for instance, the Cement and Waterfront Workers Union.
They got it hard.
Yeah, that was like their pension plan just went like whoop. Yeah, so the Cement and Waterfront Workers Union, I know they got a serious lash with that. As to the National Insurance Scheme, Brother Dabo, I am not sure. What we can do is we can try to find out. I can send a message and try and find out what is taking place there. So the NIS there is the proposal, because I think a lot of people get the impression that it's government saying that, look, we're going and raise the retirement age. Let's get it clear, because I think a lot of people hear but they don't listen. They hear but they don't listen. So you hear something but you don't really listen to it. Yeah? So they're not picking up the bits and pieces of information. Now, there is a proposal by the NIS, the National Insurance Scheme, to raise the age of retirement. It is not the government of Grenada saying to the NIS, we're going and raise the age of retirement. It is the NIS saying to the government of Grenada that you should pass legislation, because it has to be passed in legislation. A law has to be brought to Parliament and passed. Yeah, you can't just decide, okay, we raise the age of retirement, and some minister just sign and erase it. No, this one has to go to the Parliament, both the upper and lower house, where everybody could discuss it. So the law has to be passed in Parliament. The NIS, through the actuarial reports are the people that come in. They look to see how much money NIS have coming in, how much money NIS have going out. What are their investments and what are the expected returns on the investment? You buy a property here, it was worth $250,000. In 5 years' time, because of the things that are taking place around it, that property will be worth $500,000. That property will be worth $1 million. If it's going up or if it's going down, they would take a look at all of that and say where they project the NIS to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years, even as far as in 30 years from now. They will do a projection and say where they see the NIS being in that space of time. Yeah? So, yeah, Pele, you see, man, on Waterfront lose big. I feel it for them. I really feel it for them. Listen, I have a brother that passed in it. One of my brothers, he's retired now. And he passed in it. He should have been receiving a nice pension right now. And he can't. Because of what happened. No fault of his own.
You have some of them who died and not even, you know.
Yeah.
But there is a
okay,
way.
we're getting a note here that the in the next 15 minutes, those of you in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, Nazibi, that includes you. Those of you in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, it will affect broadband, internet, and television. So those of you, right, that are in Carriacou, and it also means that Sister Isle will cut off. Yeah, it also means that Sister Isle will cut off. So for those of you in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, it will not affect cell phones. Okay, so they corrected that information. It will not affect cell phones, but it will happen in the next 15 minutes. Your internet, your broadband internet and television will be down in Carriacou. Your cell phones go work, right? Nice. Good. So that's in the next 15 minutes. So it means that Sister Isle will be off air from us for a period of about half hour. They'll be rejoining us somewhere around 11:30. So, yeah, somewhere around 11:30, 11:45, they'll be rejoining us. All right. So those of you in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, just enjoy the Maroon Festival lunch and your weekend, just in case you don't get a chance to come back with us. And remember, the seed program, they're doing the assessment. They did the assessments this week, so that the people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique could obtain the exact same benefits that the people on mainland Grenada are obtaining under that program. All right, so don't worry your head too much, right? Nice? Okay, Papa? So all of you in Carriacou and Petit Martinique who are receiving those disbursements under the seed program, please note that they have been doing an assessment, because it might have some people there that really shouldn't be under the seed program. Eh? Sometimes some people ain't come in and say, well, okay, I ain't living there again. I'm living with this person that come back from wherever, and they have a good pension getting, and so I don't need the seed payment. They still want a little bit of independence, so they want the seed payment, but they don't qualify anymore. Or a son or a daughter take them to live with them. They build a room and they bring the mother or the father to live with them, and so on. So they no longer qualify because of the amount of money that's coming into the household. And so, but the assessment is being done in Carriacou. So that's for those of you in Carriacou. But back to the NIS. Yeah, so understand what is being proposed here. Number one is coming from the actuarial reports that have been done on the National Insurance Scheme. It is not some government minister just wake up this morning and say, let's raise the age of retirement. We know there are those out there who would like you to believe that that is the case. LL, don't worry, we ain't forget you. We coming to you. Yeah, I just had to say that. Yeah, LL, we ain't forget you. So there are those who would like you to believe that what has taken place is that a government minister just wake up and they decide, okay, we go in and raise the age of retirement. No, that's not the case. Yeah, that is not the case. It is a recommendation being made to government. There are other recommendations. There is the recommendation as well to increase the amount of money that the NIS is making on a monthly basis by increasing the NIS payments for individuals like me and you by 2%. Yeah? So taking a further 2% out of your salary towards the NIS to increase the amount of money that NIS is making on a monthly basis. One of the issues that the actuarial report stated is that our population consists of a high number of retired persons and persons who are in the process of being retired and so on, and not enough younger persons who would be contributing to the NIS. That is what has been stated as well. In other words, we need to boost the population. Those of you that are married, you notice what I'm saying, those of you that are married, come, do your job. Yeah, a little behind the scenes, man, come on.
Yeah, but you can't discriminate. I find discriminating.
Discriminating. Those of you that are married, I mean, some of us are married and we contributing, but...
well, yeah, we contributing much more to those who have the quote-unquote legal instrument.
Those are the legal instrument. Please contribute more. I'm trying to save us more. Those are the legal instrument. Contribute some more. We need some more.
Yeah, because we need some more our children, you know.
Yeah. But the NIS, please, folks, don't buy into this propaganda out there that the NIS is about to collapse. Yeah, there have been years before that the NIS have found that the amount that they pay out is less than the amount they collected. For instance, you'd expect that at times where there are things like Chick V, because during that time that it had Chick V, boy, you had real people that had to end up getting benefits out of the NIS because they just could not work for a period of time. Right after Hurricane Ivan, when the NIS found it ended up with a situation where the NIS had to be paying some people on a monthly basis because they were unemployed. They had to create this unemployment, but you remember that? They had something like an unemployment benefit that many persons who could not work at that period of time, and I think it was especially people in the hotel industry and different things like that.
Yeah, hotel and most of the service
industries, yeah, because they couldn't go out and work, so they were receiving benefits under the NIS. And in times like that, you expect situations like that. We don't know how they had Chick V, had Zika. Papa God, please don't send anything else, because like it's just getting worse. Yeah, from Chick V that used to make you feel all kind of way, we end up to Zika that was actually killing people, doing all kind of thing. Yeah. And I feel Chick V probably killed some too. We don't anything else. Let's stay away there. we good. We good over here.
Yeah, don't send more Chick V. Them don't pop out tree and them. Yeah, they get real beaten.
And folks, while we ain't hear about anything out there yet, it is a good time to eradicate mosquitoes as much as possible.
Oh yes. It's
a good time, because we don't want to wait until when we hear, because you know it starts in some of them French islands. It was here. That's where Chick V and Zika, you hear about it on one of the French islands, and then you hear from there it starts traveling through the islands and it reaching Grenada. Folks, before we hear about anything, eradicate mosquitoes in your area.
And what you find right now, you have members of the Ministry of Health team and so eradication team passing around in the different villages, and so helping educate, sharing information as to how best to store water, what needs to get rid of, and everything like that. So pay attention. You know, pay attention to them. They are very useful. The information that has been given could save your life.
Under the nutmeg tree. Yes, Cynthia, good morning. Carla, my dear, how are you doing? And Faithlin, good morning to all of you. Remember to like and share the video. Like and share the video this morning. Yep. Folks, but remember, the NIS isn't, they need to invest the money. The money can't be sitting there. Okay. So whether they invest it with the government of Grenada, because some individuals keep trying to give you the impression that the NIS buying treasury bills from the government of Grenada is a bad thing, or that the NIS doing business with the government of Grenada is a bad thing. No, it is not, if it is done properly. We had instances before where it was not done properly, and let me clarify that properties that didn't belong to the government were sold to the NIS. So in other words, the NIS lost. Because obviously you've given money to the government of Grenada and you're supposed to be holding an asset now that you can then either utilize or sell and make back the people who put the money into the NIS money. But that couldn't happen because the asset couldn't be transferred to you by the government of Grenada because it didn't belong to the government of Grenada. So in other words, they get hoodwinked out of some money. Yeah. You also had another case with Grenlec, $10 million that was transferred to the government of Grenada for the sale of Grenlec shares. Yeah. And the purchase share agreement with Grenlec dating back to 1994 says that that can't happen. It says that if government of Grenada have to sell any Grenlec shares, they have to offer them to WRB Enterprises first. WRB must have the option to A, purchase the shares, or they could say, no, we don't want the shares, go ahead and sell it to somebody else. Yeah? That wasn't done. The Nazim Burke-led Ministry of Finance went to the NIS and told them, we're going to sell you some shares, Grenlec shares, $10 million worth of Grenlec shares. NIS transferred $10 million to the government of Grenada. Government of Grenada could not transfer the $10 million worth of shares over to NIS. And who had to pay for it? Yeah, who had to pay for it? Again, the new National Party government had to come in and regularize the situation. Because what you would have been seeing on the books of the NIS is a $10 million expenditure and no assets to show for it. Who money that was? The same people that contributed to NIS. That is what the Nazim Burke-led Ministry of Finance did. Yeah, that is what they did.
That was embarrassing.
In two instances, they sent things over to the NIS. The brewery shares, the shares in the breweries and other entities that government of Grenada was still holding on to and that you received your yearly payments and so on, they were transferred over to the NIS as well on that administration. Yeah.
Someone is asking for information that I shared earlier on. Yeah, it's the family of Tuffy, well known in Grenville, and the wife of Pastor Niles, who heads the church, the Pentecostal church right at the entrance of the bus terminus in Grenville.
And also Mr. Crow out there in Willis. Yeah, the Crow family out there in Willis. Devon, 2 minutes after 11, we're going to open the phone lines.
Yes.
Yeah, 440-7377. But before we go to the phone lines, though, the issue with the correction of the SBAs and the CPEA and that sort of thing. Let me state clearly, under the Constitution of Grenada, and let's go to the Constitution because I think some people just speak off the top of the head. Under the Constitution of Grenada, any individual has a right. From birth, they have a right to protest. They have a right. So nobody can tell a teacher that, sir or miss, you can't protest.
That's the God-given right.
Let me make that clear. And I don't think I hear any government minister or any government official saying to teachers that you can't strike. Yeah? But with your rights, there's another R. It's called responsibility. No, not racial. It's called responsibility. Because you know that racial and responsibility. But responsibility. So with your rights come responsibility. Now, you cannot force and you cannot cuss teachers if they don't go and do the SBA papers. You can't cuss teachers if they don't go and correct the CPEA papers. Because from what they have, when they check the rules and thing, they say that, oh, no, we don't have to do that. They say in some countries, they paid to do that, isn't it? They say in some countries, teachers are paid to correct these things. In other words, they put aside their money and they pay them and they correct these things, but it's not part of their duties as teachers to do that. So nobody could come and force teachers to do that. And if teachers want to take the action of not correcting the SBAs and the CPEA papers, right, that is their right to not do that. But the manner in which you do something, that's where the responsibility comes in. The manner in which you do something is what we need to look at. Because what you're doing is going to have a negative effect on children now. And when you decide you're not doing it on the cusp of when it is required, in other words, whole time you give the impression you're going to be doing it, and then at the last minute, when it should be done, when it is going to affect, because when you affect the CXC results of a student now, when you affect the ability of a student in their CPEA exams, when you affect those things, you're affecting the future of that child. So if a mechanism is put in place and they said, well, okay, this year is the last year we're doing that, don't expect us to do it from next year. That, me as a parent, and I don't think any parent in Grenada would have had a problem with that. And if a parent had a problem with that, they needed to sit down and think for themselves. Because I wouldn't have a problem with that, you know. If they said, this is the last year we're doing that, we're not going to do it again. Right? It may not be the best thing to do if you're agitating union-wise, but it would be the best and most responsible thing to do as a teacher and as parents and as Grenadians. But to come and decide the last minute, in other words, you throw the ministry into a situation where they are kind of unsure what to do, because they don't know what percentage of the teachers are now going to say, well, just ignore LL and do this thing. We're going to do it this year for the last, and we ain't going to do it from next year. They don't know what percentage of teachers are going to decide to take that approach, or what percentage of teachers are going to take the approach that, to hell with it, we ain't doing it at all. They don't know. So the ministry either has to put in place a system where they are going to get the papers corrected, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is, whether it's the teachers do it or somebody else do it, the papers have to be corrected. They have to be corrected. Whether it's the teachers do it or whether it's others do it, the papers have to be corrected. But you can't cuss the teachers. Don't misplace your aggression. It's the leader that had them doing that. So me have time to cuss no teacher. Seriously. I have no time to cuss no teacher. But it's LL who thinks that now he's the Minister of Education. So he's directing teachers what to do and what not to do. And it's not having a positive effect on our children. So I'm saying, if they decided, watch, 2019 is the last year we're going to do that, even for the sports. And I try to understand how some people could be so bitter and vexed and upset because they see the National Secondary School sports going on. If the Principals Association decided, look, 2019 is the last year we're going to do the intercall games. So the intercall games went about as normal as the intercall games. You had that taking place. And then they said, after this, we are not going to be participating in any further sporting activities or anything like that until our matter is resolved. I may have been able to understand that. But to try and punish the children, because if you go around the country right now, and teachers, I saw you all online last night and so complaining, the parents now start to cuss the teachers. So the political effect that Lydon Lewis and his puppet masters thought, yeah, because he's puppeted by the NDC anyway. Oh, did I say that? Yeah. The political effect that they thought it would have, it's having the opposite. They thought that what would happen is that the parents would turn en masse on the government. But what is happening is the parents are now turning on the teachers. And if you go onto social media, you see some of the teachers and them, they're crying. Because they say, well, how the parents cussing us? But parents, you're all cussing the wrong persons. Don't cuss the teachers. They are being guided and directed by a specific hand. And the hand that they're being guided and directed by is the union leader. That's the beginning and the end all of the entire thing. His ego. Because he believes he's the minister. So when he believes he want to shut down, I've shut down the schools. I tell the teachers stay out. And then when the responsibility of the role comes, where he as the union leader, as every other country on earth that has a union knows, supposed to have the strike pay, he doesn't do that, then he wants to come and cost the government on top of it.
Yeah. Let me ask you that. Someone is asking, the release that was sent out by the president of the teachers union, you read it?
Yeah, I read it, and we'll read it in a while again on air. Let's go to the line. I see somebody on the overseas.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning,
Devon. Good morning, Sheldon.
Good morning, my friend.
How are you guys doing?
Hey, quite fine.
Pretty good.
I'm listening to you, and I'm hearing you about not cussing the teachers. I agree. But teachers are independent-minded people. Some of them would have students who, I'm sure, write in CXC.
Yeah.
And they know that the CXC contributes, the SBA contributes a very large percentage of the CXC marks.
Mm-hmm.
And if the leader of the union instructs the teachers to box up the SBAs and drop it at the Ministry of Education, and the teachers do it, they need cussing. If the teachers do it, they need cussing. My understanding is that there are a number of schools that have already said they're not doing it. They're going to mark the SBAs because they've been teaching the students, and the students need to get their grades. For those teachers that are taking that position, I think we should commend them. But those that are not taking that position, Sheldon, they need cussing. You see, because it's time that the parents stand up and speak. You see, right now, they're shifting this thing as though it's an issue between the government and the unions. But parents have to recognize that their children are in the middle of this. What happens now would affect their students or their children in the future. If they don't get the grades in CXC, and they have to go to TAMCC, and they don't have the required number of subjects, they have to go back to school. Parents have to recognize they have already paid for those subjects, They've already made a payment. So it is in their interest to ensure that the students or their children write the exams and pass. You see, the economic cost of this is not being seen from the parent standpoint. And I think it's high time that parents get vocal on this matter. And I said on another medium, when it was believed that the government of Grenada was going to sell Cameron Park, there was a committee formed to save Cameron Park. When the Savvy was doing this thing on the how you call that area, there was a committee formed. But why isn't there a committee formed to protect the poor students? Why is it that parents are not getting vocal? Why is it that parents not demonstrating? I have to see if I could find the number for the one-man demonstrator. You know who I'm talking about. Why is he not outside with a placard around his neck? He's a parent too. So my issue is this. The leader of the teachers union give a directive. Let's see if the teachers are foolish enough to follow the directive. Because when you affect students in that way, you're affecting the future of your nation. You're affecting the pocket of the parents, right? You're affecting the students' future. It's high time. It's high time that parents stand up. Don't leave it up to the government to defend. The parents are the ones who should be standing up now and saying to the teachers, enough is enough. And I could guarantee you, if a group of students protest, protest, this would change. You know what's happening here, Sheldon?
Mm-hmm.
They thought that the sports would have crashed. They thought that they would have won. They see now that they have been defeated on this side. My last comment. You're talking about docking of pay. You saying that your action is based on the fact that your pay was down. But the matter is in court. The matter is in court. The court will decide whether or not it is if the government is right or wrong. And whatever the outcome, you would get the results.
Caller,
why?
Caller, I didn't want to break your flow,
you?
but let me ask one question. With what you've just said, so what do you think they would do now if the court rules in favor of government?
Well, I guess they would find another reason why they should be continuing to protest.
All right.
Right now, the reason is the docking of the pay. But it would switch from that reason to another one. This issue is bigger than we look at, you know. This issue is bigger. There are players behind the scenes that's manipulating these people. And the teachers have to recognize that when their leader speaks, he's not speaking for them really. He's speaking for the powers that's behind. But the students' education is at stake, and it's up to us as parents. I'm saying us because I'm a parent too, to ensure that these narrow-minded people don't affect our children negatively. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. And we have another call.
Good morning and welcome.
Okay, that person just lost the opportunity there. 440-7377 and
347-329-3101.
Yes, indeed. You can call and get into the program right now. The point I was simply making is this. I see some teachers that they getting cuss, and these teachers are actually doing it. They're doing their work as normal. They go ahead as normal. But innocently, they're being, you see, it's like everybody's just being put into one basket, and you're just cussing teachers in general. And I don't think we need to go there. I believe it's the leadership that is misleading, and therefore that is where any blame, any cussing, anything have to go. I'm putting it in LL foot. And someone online is saying I shouldn't say that LL is being controlled by the NDC. Well, why doesn't he prove to us that he's not? Because what he's doing, there is the intent of a political outcome to what he's doing. All the moves he's making, it's not benefiting teachers because teachers have children too. So it's not benefiting the children, the teachers. Yeah? What he's doing is not benefiting the teachers. It is affecting the teachers too, because teachers have children right in CXC whose SBAs may not be marked. Yeah? So teachers have children too. It's affecting the children. You think it's affecting the government on a political level? Who cussing? Who getting the cuss? It's not the government getting the cuss. You don't hear anybody calling and anybody online and think outside of teachers cussing the government in relation to this. It's the teachers that getting the cuss. It's having the opposite effect. But that was not the intended effect. The intended effect was a political one. So if I say he's a puppet, well, prove you're not. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. And I call it how I see it. We have a call.
Good morning.
Hello?
And welcome. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes, you're live.
Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I'll make a statement, and I hope it is not taken out of context by the teachers when they hear it, if they hear it. That, to my mind, I could equate what is being done by the teachers if they go ahead and listen to the president. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we listen.
Someone does a mix-up. I don't know. Sorry.
No, just ignore the radio in the background and just go ahead with your presentation.
I like something.
We're hearing you very clearly. Everything you just go ahead. Yeah.
I would go as far as saying that if the teachers were to listen to that directive given by the president, it would tantamount to aborting a baby at 9 months. But I'll come back to that a little bit. That statement you made about we need a bigger population is a very critical statement in economic development. I started focusing a lot more on that. When my good friend, Kane Man in Grenada, my very good friend, I overheard him, well, not just overheard him, in conversation with me and with others, he kept mentioning that our population is too small for economic reasons. And I started focusing on that a lot more and recognized that statement makes a lot of sense. And there you are reiterating it this morning and putting it into fact, or factoring it into nation's development. It's a critical issue. But there's another thing relative to that that is creating a problem. Most of the more intelligent people, and it might be not only in Grenada, most of the people who can afford to take care of children on their own, you might say on their own volatility, you might say, where they are able, because of financial position because of the type of work they're able to do and get. These are the people who usually don't go for making children. The poor people who are less able to handle such a thing are the ones who are making 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 children. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Have you noticed that?
Oh, of course,
it does happen. Yeah,
it does happen.
Yeah. So that statement that we need a bigger population. The people that are supposed to by right relate to that properly are not even interested. And you're talking about them. They walk the street with their fancy looks, and they don't want to lose their figure, and they don't want to, and all this kind of a confusion that goes around that whole issue. But we need bigger population, and we need that coming from people who are able to handle it, so that in the process it does not become a burden on the government, and so we could have a serious balance and improved development. That's one aspect. Relative to the issue of the NIS, I have always noticed investment creating a problem. Where after you take, let's say you take $20 million, you have money, and you take $20 million and invest it. To an extent, that money becomes dead money for quite a while until you start having returns. Now, we're looking at structures, we're looking at whatever is put in place for development relative to investment. And we'll say, well, okay, we start with 20 million, and we might end up being valued at 100 million by the next 10 years or whatever. But returns does not actually equate the investment in the initial stage. And so when, for example, people invest in Geico, Clico, and type of thing like that, and NIS invest in whatever, it is more a loss initially than it is expected to be. Now, if after, let's say, 20 years, the value of the shares or the business increased from 1 million, 20 million, 40 million to, let's say, 500 million, and it was to be sold that time, then you might get a big dividend, and you might get big returns on your investment. But you take all the money and invest it, consider it dead for a long, long, long time. And this will have a problem with the way NIS, for example, have invested money in this country. I don't agree with
No, but you see, you just said something and then you contradicted yourself with when you said it. You said basically that they need they need to invest the money, but NIS doesn't invest all its money. NIS invests some of its money. They're not crazy people that inside there.
No, I don't think I actually said they need to invest money. I'm saying that when you invest money, if you invest money and you invest 20 million and there's a guarantee that by the next 5 years, which is hardly ever the case anyhow, let's say the business would increase from, let's say, 100 million to 500 million and it's going to be sold. There's no guarantee it's going to happen. So usually you consider that money a dead money. And I maintain that to an extent, but I'm not arguing about that too much. And I just know.
No, but I think the impression
investment situation.
What I'm saying is that the impression someone who is listening may get, and wrongly so, is that NIS take all its money and all the money is out in investments, which is not the case.
I hope they're not getting that.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to clarify that point. Yeah.
And I know NIS invested a lot of money in what could be considered as dead situation. That's a fact. Now, let me get back to that teacher, students.
And we'll have to make it quickly because I see someone is trying to call.
Right Sorry about that. But these teachers and they seem to not getting the message seriously yet, If you say you want to go ahead and neglect to relate to that critical aspect that the children had to need in order to go forward, how would you next week after, in that same class in which you are sitting every day to face the students, how are you going to face the students? Or would students want to come to school to respect a teacher like that, who refuse to relate to a critical juncture in their life, where if it is not responded to properly, their future is in serious jeopardy? So you went to school for, let's say, 5 years, 6 years, and at the end when you're supposed to be seeing the reward, teachers are aborting you. You get the point I'm making?
Exactly. I got it when you said the first part about aborting at 9 months.
They are aborting the children at 9 months. I mean, so why didn't do it when you're just a month? Or 5 months maybe or something like that? You wait until they reach 9 months when they're supposed to come out of the womb safely and nicely. In normal amicable situation, you might say. And then you decide to abort them at 9 months? I mean, that has to be criminal.
And there's a law against that?
There has to be criminal. I mean, this is a serious thing. If they don't get in it that way, they don't really understand what they're doing. If they go ahead and do it,
to be honest,
to be aborting a child at 9 months.
To be honest with you, I think that a significant proportion of the teachers will still attempt to mark the SBAs and the CPEA. I believe that they care about their children. I believe they love the children, and they will still do it.
I think they will do it.
I believe.
I think they should do it. Not only, I mean, but I think they would do it in truth.
I believe they will.
Yeah.
But I also believe that this situation, therefore, needs to be regularized so that we can never have this coming up as an issue again.
And what
in other words,
from the president there is clear indication of madness. This man has to be mad right now.
Because what you're doing there, I mean, what you prefer? You prefer to take the hit now, do the SBAs, correct the SBAs, correct the CPA, and a child has a bright future? Or you prefer to, as you put it, abort them right now, abort the educational process right now, cause them to fail, and then at the end of the day, in 5 years, they have a gun to your head because they turn bandit?
Well,
which one do you prefer?
You expect a lot of other bandits coming for that?
Because you're fighting...
And children in the class and everything? Every day?
Because you're fighting right now over gratuity. Not pension. Pension is sorted out as far as I'm concerned. But you're fighting over gratuity. But you get the gratuity. After all of this, you get the gratuity when you retire in 20 years or 15 years or whenever. And then as soon as you're coming out the bank, one of the same students and them that you caused to turn bandit because of what you did now, pull a gun and rob you.
Yeah. When the industrial action started, a parent I spoke to told me how frustrated her son, that was his first term in secondary school, how frustrated the child was. And that's the time when you're supposed to go and see secondary school as a glowing city that you want to enter and enjoy. But there the child was frustrated, despondent, like, going to secondary school. But the excitement that, I left in the primary school with, coming to secondary school is supposed to be the maximum enjoyment in my life up to this point. And every day the child was frustrated. And the teachers need to understand what actually is going on. And like I've used the analogy or the example. When I was a little boy, one time, my mother and neighbor had a confusion. And I tried putting my mouth in it. My mother shut me up immediately. Big people think is big people think, little children think, keep out of it. And that's what they're doing. They're involving the little children or the children in the industrial confusion with the government. That's two separate things.
My brother, let's cut it here. All right, thank you. 440737
and 347-329-3101.
Good morning, Camille Teresa Scott.
Sheldon, I want to just make a comment. Now, yesterday, I had some information, coming from a particular PTA, and what was said, right, by a teacher, is that the respect for the teachers, right, from the students, right, is noticeable. There is, lots of loss of respect for the teachers at this point in time.
And it's going to get worse if what I see happening on Facebook and so continues there. That's why I'm saying don't cuss them because your children listening.
Teachers coming into their class to do classes, and the children will sit there and pay no mind to the teachers. Right? And so, this is madness, and it has a psychological effect on the lives of our children. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Romain?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
How are you?
Not too bad.
You know what I'm doing right now? I'm hurting over the children.
Yeah.
Because the children go to school. The teachers are there to teach them. But what I'm seeing here, the teachers are paying LL to lead them on the wrong path. They have to pay union dues every month. Not so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and have LS there drawing free money and still leading them on the wrong side. I'm hurting. I have nieces, nephews, friends, got children to school, and I want the teachers to do the best they can for them. I'm including the whole nation children. So I'm asking the teachers, please, on the children's behalf, do the best they can. Because the teacher's money going down the drain. Feeding a man, and he leading them wrong. And it's hurting me. The children need to get between there. I'm asking the teachers, please, please, do the best for the children, please. And it's time for them to ignore LL. LL is going on too much. He's going on too much. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, caller.
All right.
Yes, indeed. 4407377.
Good morning.
No, we
I thought 347-329-3101.
I see a message there. Our good friend Leslie is trying to call us. Well, Leslie, like you had to call us now. Other than that, you'll lose it. You're going to lose your opportunity if you don't call. And you lose the opportunity. Somebody else call first.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and how are you?
I am fine. And how are you, man?
Yes. What I'm saying is not that putting all the blame on the government. But it's not the government will do that. The teachers and them is something else. Is the union cause all these things what tell them to put down tools.
Yeah,
that's why I'm not blaming the teachers themselves. I can't blame the teachers because I know personally of teachers
Right.
who still just ignore the union, and they're doing what they support the union, and they support the union, they support the president, but they think of the children first. So they still decide that they're going to do what has to be done.
They're doing the children and them harm.
But yet
Right?
still,
They're doing the children harm. But it's the children, not the children to blame. It's them.
yeah. All right, my dear.
All right, have a good day.
Same
okay,
to
you too, ma'am.
All right.
But I have to say this though, there are some teachers that are not making it nice for themselves either.
Yep.
Because when you see a child in the class, it doesn't happen with my children. Let me say it clear, not my children. My children have some lovely teachers. But there are teachers that going to children in the class with totally political statements. I mean, Christmas party, Christmas time. You had teachers telling children, go and ask Keith Mitchell for all your Christmas party. Then when the parents come back, they hear the child come home and say, Miss or Sir say that. And the parents now decide that they're going to cuss teachers. You, that individual teacher, look for that. But parents, just remember, if it's a specific teacher that doing these kind of things, that is one thing. But don't put all teachers in the same bracket. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's what I said yesterday. I believe that 90 to 95% of the teachers are genuine. They care about children. They care about what they're doing. They go above and beyond. They do the extra and that sort of thing. But there's a small percentage inside there who I believe need to leave the profession. Because if you decide that you're just going to go in and sit in front of a class for the day and you're not going to teach or you're not going to do anything, and then when the children speak about it, you tell them, go and check Keith Mitchell or go and check this minister or go and check that minister, and that sort of attitude, you're in the wrong profession. Leave. You're in the wrong profession.
You know, and I really, as an individual, you have a mind of your own. You know what is right, you know what is wrong, you know what is conscionable, right? And I think that a number of teachers are prepared to do what needs to be done for our children, right? They are prepared. But I cannot, for the life of me, understand why so many of them, right, are bent on disrupting our children's education. Right?
We parents are getting the stories, you know. You're getting the stories. Some of the parents, we are getting the stories. We have a caller.
Good morning and welcome.
Yes, man. Good morning. Finally, I get you all.
Finally.
Before I make my statement, let me say the information there from this morning is not quite accurate. It is not Pastor Niles' wife that died. It is a neighbor, but Pastor Niles' wife is in hospital or something like that. So that's just a correction, and that's coming from Pastor Niles himself.
Boy, be careful with that, boy.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, that you could put it.
Thank you.
Could put
Thank
water
you.
on the fire and thing, because I confirm that. I confirm that.
Got you.
So that's what I was told. It's not Pastor Niles' wife that died. In fact, he's on his way to a conference or something now. So put that aside. As it relates to, I want Mr. Lloyd and Lewis to know that I read his letter about 3 times last night. And my problem is really not the letter. I think, I made a statement before, I'll make it again. You may not agree. Well, you would not agree, I can say from now. But we are members of Carriacou, the single market and economy. We have qualified people in the region. All the government have to do, leave the teachers where they do what they have to do. You hire qualified people to do the job, case closed. Once you do that, you're going to see, because I will tell you what I personally believe. I could be wrong, but I believe that Mr. Lloyd and Lewis may be trying to follow the footsteps of Mr. Ray Roberts. When Mr. Ray Roberts was supposed to be doing the people's business, he was doing another business in the House, in the Senate. So I believe Mr. Lloyd and Lewis may be following that footstep based on what I observed. This is my personal observation. It's not HARDTALK observation, it's my personal observation. So I would say, all that needs to happen is very simple. We are a member of Carriacou. We have free movement of people. The government could get people from the region to do the work. Case closed. Let the teachers strike. Let Mr. Lloyd and Lewis and Sister Roberts jump up and reel and do all kind of thing and raise their blood pressure. That is their business. You know, because you cannot afford for these things to happen. So they didn't want sports. We had successful sports meet. We still, I think, have another one coming up. You cannot put it. Listen, and I will tell you something. This has to be more than just teachers thing. It has to be, to me, political, because there is no way why you should put the future of the kids on at the edge of a precipice because of maybe, and I'm going to say maybe, political agenda. And there's a reason why I say maybe. There's a reason why I say that, but there is no reason why, or for your own personal agenda. You understand? The kids should come first. This thing, and if the thing is in court, my God, if you have a matter in court, first of all, we're not supposed to even be on the radio talking about it, because let the court deal with the thing. So you're telling me that the individual or individuals don't have enough sense, because common sense is not common, to know once a matter is in court, you leave the court, let the court trash it out. At the end of the day, the court would come and make a decision, and you'll have to abide by the decision. Maybe you might want to appeal the case or what. And then you're the one who tell the teachers to stay home. And you're supposed to have monies there for this kind of situation, for strike situation. So the teachers now should ask, where is the money, the strike fund you're supposed to have? Because if you cannot pay the teachers, the strike money from the strike fund, that means you don't have. I heard Mr. Andrew Lewis said, don't worry, we ain't going to tell you anything. That is the thing, that is the union business. When he was asked that on I think it was a GBN or whichever program, they never wanted to tell us how much money they had in the strike fund. There is a reason why it is called a strike fund. Okay. And then my question is, and I'm going to leave after this question, is it not possible that the teachers bring the unions to court for not paying them, not the government, because your strike, it didn't work. So if you don't work, you don't get paid. That's a basic principle. And that's how God principle is. Is it not possible that the teachers bring the unions to court because they are the one,
and we had to speed it up, brother,
not pay them the strike fund?
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, my friend.
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
And I had a caller. Oh boy, I think I lost that caller. I had a caller waiting online for the longest while. Folks, when you call, if we're on another call, what I might do is I might punch you in and put you on hold. So you may be there for a little while. So, and then to the other folks making contributions, we're going to have to, and especially since we only have about 20 minutes remaining, we're going to have to limit the length of the presentations. We're going to have to limit the length of the presentations because of the limited time we have remaining. All right? Yeah, so 440-7377, give us a call now.
I just want to say that, Sheldon, based on the information that our last caller gave, the information concerning Pastor Niles, right? If I am wrong of that information, I really apologize. I'm sorry for that. I got that information from very persons close to the church. So that is why I felt I had to go there. So if I'm wrong, I apologize and I'm sorry for that. Okay?
Yeah,
for bringing that hurt to anyone, any hurt it may cause to anyone. My apologies.
Yeah. 440-7377 and
347-329-3101.
What do this Marty trying to fly around inside here?
No, Sheldon. Let's flip it, think that a bit. Now, NDC get into the free. Executive members or members of leading members of NDC are now telling our parents and our students not to participate in the secondary schools games.
You afraid to say Claudette?
Claudette Joseph, and she was on national radio.
But you could expect anything to come out of she mouth.
She said she's making no apology to that. Imagine that. Now I'm wondering, when I hear certain persons making statements, trying to bring down our children, I'm wondering if they have children of their own. I'm just wondering.
I know.
Some of you who continue to be in the forefront, discouraging our children to be part of their activities within the schools, sports and so. I'm wondering if some of you have children, if you have a heart for children.
Because I think it's a very unfortunate, and politically it's a dunce statement to make, because believe me, that statement will come back. I'll promise you that.
It will come back to
that
haunt you.
Statement will come back to haunt you as much as the statement about who needy and greedy. That statement is going to come back to haunt you. I'll promise you that from now.
That's just another dumb statement you hear a wannabe politician prepared to make, and who's supposed to be a lawyer. I mean, and one who wants to represent people of the tongue of St. George. You continue to discriminate and malign people and so on, and you expect, you wondering why the persons never even consider of electing you for MP. Oh my God.
Let's go to the phone line.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Sheldon. Good morning, Devon.
Good morning.
I must say I'm very proud this morning with that statement you make there, Devon.
Yes.
Just with that apology, it's only big men do that.
Oh,
and I'm very proud of you. And I wish much of our people could do that. When we're wrong, we say we're wrong. If even though we don't know we're wrong, but we apologize to each other. And I appreciate that. And listening about these school teachers again this morning bring me back to derailing my future in the 70s, in the early 70s. I know you love NJM and what have you, but this is some of the things that they was doing to destabilize the country when they started with all this demonstrations and stuff. I was going to school. At that time, I was going in the wing.
73.
Canteen under GBSS there.
Yeah.
And going to school at mornings. Can't find teachers. Sometimes you can't find bus to go to school, so I had to quit. And plans change differently. So I want to say to the folks that are in charge, they're responsible for our children's education. Don't play with the futures of our children. We heard several expressions this morning where the guy made the analogy of the aborting our young people. Please let us not do that. And in Grenada, let's go back and check our history and let it not repeat itself. I want to say thank you all this morning again and bless you all. And once we put God in front, He will direct and lead us and let us acknowledge Him in all that we do and say. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. All right.
Thank you very much. Blessings.
Yes, indeed. 440-7377. I know a few of you were trying to call and get through. So you could call now. We still have 15 minutes remaining.
How can we, as grown folks, as parents, and I'm talking broadly, teachers, leadership of the union, everybody, how can we, as parents, do this to our children? The psychological attack that we are propelling our children, it's disgraceful. You want to wait just a couple of days or weeks before SBA and say you're not doing anyhow.
After the money already spent to do the SBA.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Devon.
Good morning,
mate. Good morning,
mate.
How are you today?
Quite fine.
Okay. I'm calling you today simply because of the matter that you're discussing this morning. Earlier on this week, was it last week, I commented about the same situation with the teachers in relation to the students and the academics, right? And you said to me, Sheldon, that if parents sit by and don't pay attention to the children's academic work, they would be to blame. But you see now what I was speaking about.
Yeah.
Right? As I said to you, as I said to you last week, right? I have a niece that is in Form 5, and that is what I was getting at, right? In relation to the SBAs, other than that, that was the only problem, the SBAs, because the students have no control over anything else, right? The SBAs, that is the problem. And that is what I was getting at, right? Because if the teachers don't give them the SBA, they don't know, if the teachers don't give them the topic, they have no clue as to what it is that they're supposed to do. So that is where they depend on the teachers. And that is one of the problems that the students were having, right? And just to reiterate what the last caller was saying, these people in authority right now who fail to realize that these are the children of the future, which they would depend on. Dr. Keith Mitchell would not be there in the next 10, say 15 years from now, right? These are the children that you would expect to be voting for you, right, in the future, to be whatever it is. They selves might turn out to be teachers themselves, and you would depend on them to help you to achieve your goal, right? And as I turn around and I say to everybody, you may be a leader, right? But to be a good leader, you have to have persons that believe in you and would help you. No leader or no manager, whoever, cannot succeed on themselves. They need their subordinates in order to succeed.
So true.
Right? And if you sit down and you think what you're doing to the students today is for your betterment, think again. You understand? Mr. Lloyden and the rest of them who sit down. Yes, I'm not saying teachers not entitled and teachers don't work hard. Don't misunderstand me with that. But we have to realize these children are the future, right? When I was going to school, I left school over 22 years ago, right? I'm from St. David's. I went to St. David's Secondary, right? And up to today, if I go to the St. David's bus stand, and there is two buses in particular, 22 years today, that I see on the stand, I would never jump on, simply because why? When I used to go to school, right, this busmen used to turn around and say, they didn't used to take us after 4. No mind, we come out to classes, we come out to lessons, whatever. They don't take us after 4, right? And they would put us down to take an adult. This is the reason why some of them still on the bus stand, and they wonder why they cannot get a load and take 2-3 hours on the bus stand. That is my contribution to you today, Sheldon. Thanks.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Another call.
Good morning, Sheldon and Devon.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning.
Hey, Michelle, man.
Hey, I'm full on Sheldon. I go to line, and I'm coming back.
Yeah?
Yeah, boy. What's up? And then watching on your live on Facebook here right about all this coming up, and I just say, and I just listening. And just before the thing started, me and a partner was just discussing that one, the same issue with the teachers and the students. You know, because all I was saying, if you love your children, you wouldn't do this kind of thing to your children. You know what I want to do? You understand? You love your children, man. Do what is best for them because you want to see them grow, you want to see them prosper. And then at the same time, when their children prosper, it's a nation that will be prospering. You understand? You understand? So I mean, come on, teachers. Not just the teachers, as you rightfully say. They are leading and guided by Mr. Lloyd and Lewis, the president. So I think sometimes again, the teachers and the union need to sit down. The president and the union, they need to sit down and they need to iron this thing up. And it's time that the teachers need to stand up and speak out against the president. Because this thing is going on and it's not looking good for Grenada right about now. And especially for the children. You don't hurt any government today. The government getting a surplus every month still. So you don't hurt any government. And you know, to make it, and if that is a political agenda, it is too cheap. Is that to depending on? Come on, to do this harm to the sick children just for some political, just to stand on a political platform and say this and say this and say that. Come on, think it over again and stop this liquor children game. I call it liquor children gimmick and liquor children game. So I'm calling the president. Resolve this issue, this child play issue, and stop that nonsense. Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you, Devon.
All right.
Devon, I see you want to come and say man now, boy. That's nice.
That Devon, wrong man, but good. I like that mistake.
Boy.
One time I cut him off.
You see, nearly put me in trouble. Okay.
No, let me make that mistake. Good. All right.
I am so mad.
Devon, before we take anything, before you say anything, I could play something.
Sure.
Grenada on Saturday, April 13th. Fluffy the bus driver presents Run With It. So you mean just pick up something and just run with it? Pick up something, start to run with it. Yeah, run with it. Fluffy's birthday bash, the Aries edition. Fort View Nightclub, Mount Carmel, St. Andrews. Featuring 4 big DJs. Selector Alex, Bomb Squad, Just Cause, Shortleg, and DJ Super. Powered by Small Clothes Sound System. Admission is $10 and doors open from 9 p.m. Free shots and entry. Free bus shuttle from Grenville Town to the venue. Bus number HAK 696. All Aries born. Stand up and celebrate with Fluffy the bus driver. Saturday, April 13th, Fort View Nightclub, St. Andrews. Sponsored by Archibald Distributors, Big Things Promotions Father's Night Out, and Carla Store in Grenville.
Yeah, don't get tough. Fluffy, I'm like.
I ain't care if I have to run to come down there. I'm running with that. Oh my God. But
oh boy.
Sheldon, I mean it's so disturbing to see the trend, right, that the leadership of the teachers union is taking, and again, the children are at stake. When you continue to show this, give the children this sort of treatment, they will only turn around and disrespect you. How can you, right, would able to control them or direct them during school hours? How can you? Mm-hmm. How will you be able to do that? It is showing at this point in time, you're hearing parents and even teachers complaining of the lack of respect they are getting from the student because of the work to rule.
But you see, the other thing is this, you're attacking, let me say they're attacking an MP for an area, or you're attacking the prime minister, you're attacking the government and that kind of thing. Through the children, you're telling the children all sorts of things. And then the children go home and their parents, who might be supporters, telling them something differently. And even if their parents are not supporters, compounding what it is you tell them. You're teaching them to disrespect. Yeah. You're teaching them to be upset. You're teaching... What do you expect is going to happen at the point in time when you're trying to correct that child or guide or direct that child at the end of the day? We're playing with... Right now, this entire situation is a situation where I do not even think that the union leadership is realizing the fire that they're playing with.
They don't understand.
You're creating a situation here. 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, that the same union leadership might end up creating a situation with a couple hundred. All you need in Grenada is a couple hundred, you know, because it's under 50 men take over the whole country.
Yeah.
but a couple hundred youths right now who you may put on the wrong path because, number one, you can't correct them. They're disrespectful in the school. You can't correct them. You can't do nothing again because you for yourself, in some instances, have created that situation. You have mixed that formula and now you had to drink it. So that you have created that situation. That's one. The second one is that these individuals may not be able to find a proper job because they don't have any CXC subjects. And when you start them on that road and they end up into a life of crime, is you that have to put burglar proofing and lock up your house when you get your gratuity payment. Is you when you go and collect the little gratuity that you're fighting for right now are still going to have to afraid when you're coming out the bank from collecting it because somebody go and stick you up. You're trying to create a situation like what goes on in Trinidad and other places are. You have to look at these things, you know. The same child might be the same one that keep you in mind. You heard the caller a while ago. Just because of how she was treated by certain busmen. Up to this day, as a big person, she still refuses to ride on those buses.
And there are a lot of persons like her.
They keep you in mind. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are just, with that man, I don't ride with that man.
That is the end result of what is going on. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my friend.
Oh, my God. I was for a while, I thought, well, that would have been weekend and I would have left. And I would have been
don't cry.
The contribution.
Don't cry. Don't cry.
All right. Now, listen, as a result of the directives that was sent out by Mr. Lyden Lewis to the teachers, this morning, Mr. Andre Donald asked if LL is crazy, if he is mad, if he is not well. Well, this is what I want to see. Now, this thing happened now, you know, so people is questioning maybe his mental capacity. But listen to this. I'm from Mount Horn. LL used to live in Mount Horn before. And most of us that live in Mount Horn know fully well Lyden Lewis is not well. His actions while living there is one that is reflective of a man that is not well. So this irrational action by him now does not surprise us. You know what I mean? And that's why, you know, it doesn't surprise us. And maybe when you speak, Devon or Mr. Scott, when you speak to people from Moncton, they go say, well, listen, I'm surprised that you all didn't know that LL is not a very well guy. And they will tell you why, you know, people from Moncton, why we are saying that and why we are confident in making this kind of an assessment. Now, yesterday, I must wrap up here by saying yesterday, I went to a session with the NIS in the stadium. And Mr. Scott and Mr. Romain, I have never been so well informed about the work, the ins and outs of the NIS. I have never been so well informed in terms of exactly what the NIS really do, how they manage our money, how they invest it. And I must say here that based on what was explained to us in that meeting, which I understand they will take it throughout the country, is one whereby is a situation whereby it is not if, it is not when, you know, but it is just a matter of urgency that the age must increase and contribution must increase. There is no if and buts about it. But you know what I have learned? I have learned that the ball is in the court of the government. And we have to take it and run with it. We know what the consequences are if the contribution is not increased, and we know what the consequences are if the age is not increased from 60 to 65. But they also explained that this will be done, well, they didn't say directly that, but in an incremental way over a period of time. And Mr. Scott, I have more respect for the NIS today than I ever had before. But when I look at the different things what the NIS pays for. You know what I mean? What you could claim for. I am convinced if the NIS is paying for all of these things, the contribution is way below par. And yes, some of us, you hear people complain from time to time, but I can assure you, based on how long you live, the money, what you contribute to the NIS, you will receive 2 and 3 times that amount, in contribute, on the back end, in contrast to what you pay up front. So, to an extent, I'm kind of, surprised that we just be criticizing the NIS and talking about the payments what people receive, when in reality, if you were saving that amount of money for yourself, or even if you were saving twice that amount of money for yourself with interest in the bank, based on how long you live after retirement, you cannot withdraw the same amount from that account like what NIS will be giving you, and it will be sustainable. So, Mr. Scott, I have a lot of respect for the NIS. I think Mr. Cromwell and his team in there is doing an excellent job, and all what we could do is support them and ask the government to give them the full support in ensuring that the livelihood of a lot of people after retirement will not be negatively affected. Gentlemen, I trust you all will have a pleasant weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, man, it's a weekend, Sheldon. It's our final program for the week and for the month.
Wade is asking, what's the name of the woman who got paid and never did anything? Rachel Roberts. Comrade sister Rachel Roberts. Yeah, comrade sister Rachel Roberts.
And I'm still trying to find out how many years now, right, that has been going on, right? Because she made some very damning statements.
But a very interesting thing is this, though, with the work to rule. What are the rules?
I have no idea.
You need to, look at the Constitution, because work to rule could work in 2 directions,
Yeah.
And I think I see. Let's just say it could be difficult for some people. Because if you decide to work to rule, what is the time that individuals are supposed to arrive on the job? What is the time they're supposed to leave? What break are they entitled to? How many sick days are they entitled to? How many leave days are they entitled to? What is the proper procedure for when a person within the public service is leaving the island for any period of time? What are the proper procedures for, if you look at the Education Act, for instance, and you look at the section in relation to disciplining children, you would realize that in some instances, there are individuals who can find themselves arrested by the Royal Grenada Police Force for the actions that they have carried out against some people, children, Yeah, because in some instances, torture. Putting children outside in 2019, you still want to put children outside and have them putting their hands up in the air in the hot sun. What happened in a Vietnamese internment camp during the Vietnam War?
Psychological war.
What? No, that is actually child abuse in some instances. And there is a specific procedure under the Education Act in relation to how a child is disciplined. Yeah? And if we want to go by rules and we want to go by work to rule, you better start reading the rule book, because the rule book is not just, let's not sign SBA and academy is not part of our job. But there are other things that are part that you may not be doing that can be enforced. But I don't think we need to go all that direction. I don't think we need to go down that road. All I will say is we have to be very careful when we're looking at these different things. Yeah. Be very careful. Because you don't want to open you ever heard about a Pandora's box? Google it. I think you want to open a Pandora's box.
And I want to say, before I end, is that L.L. Lewis, Lydan Lewis, has declared war on the nation's children, the students of a different school. And I make no apology for that, right? Just by ensuring or encouraging, right, our teachers not to partake right, in the SBA and the CPA correction, my friend, you have declared war on the nation's children.
And I saying they saw them outside with chairs in their hand and hands up with it. That's child abuse. That's nonsense. No child is supposed, they cannot correct a child in that manner. They're supposed to, for instance, one of the things they're supposed to have a book in the principal's office that records how a child is disciplined. If you have to discipline a child, for instance, if they have to be administered strokes, and so yes, you could still administer strokes, which is something that has to be removed too. But you have that, it has to be registered in a book. You cannot have a female child being beaten by a male teacher, and the amount of strokes have to be recorded in the book, and all this kind of, which is a part I think need to be reformed. Probably need to get rid of that section in relation to that. Although I do believe in corporal punishment.
When I growing up, you didn't have all of these things, you know. But
boy, they just used to send you to pick the whip and then beat you with it.
Yeah, that's a whole.
Remember in Trinidad, we used to go and pick the tambran whip and go and pick
plant it and get it too.
Yeah, tambran whip and guava whip and pui. Them three type of wood used to get licks with that, or they used to have a belt soaking in a pail.
But you know what? That didn't make me a worse or less person. In most cases,
there's a procedure.
A stronger man, yeah.
There's a procedure for how these things are done. So if you want to go work to rule, we could go serious work to rule.
Definitely we can.
And we could have some people before the courts as parents. We could have some people before the courts. And the police could pick up one or two for some of the abuses. We could go that direction. If we want to go work to rule, let me go work to rule full 100. Check the Education Act, check the Constitution of Grenada, check the public service rules. And then whatever it is that has to be done in the way that it has to be done, we could go that direction. Devon, we're going off to the weekend. It's going to be an interesting one. They have the launch of the Maroon Festival up there in Carriacou this weekend. And, Uncle Fluff.
Yes.
Yeah, eating coming up there too, boy. Yeah,
Uncle Fluffy!
Uncle Fluff.
I'm running with it. You're not the same boss, I'm running to.
Fluffy, no easy, you know. Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been an interesting one. We're always glad to be here with you. And then whatever you say, whatever you do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking with you.
And not about you.
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. We're gonna watch. Somebody tell me that this lady is another lady from in Coast Guard in St. Mark. I never know that, but I'll play a tune from her. Maybe people might identify Miss Mavis John.
You don't know what's going down. You never can be sure. It's puzzling to work out plans we made before. You don't have